the Storm Tracker Podcast.
Welcome back, family, to the Storm Tracker Podcast. I'm Marcus Benjamin, representing for CanesCounty.com, part of the Rivals.com network. Make sure you subscribe to the website for free. Use the promo code Miami30. Today, it's a Blu Monday, so I've got Larry Blustien, longtime South Florida reporter, to join me today. Thank you for joining me today, Larry.
Good stuff, Marcus. Love your hat, throwback Florida Marlin hat there.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for baseball season, man. It's coming up pretty soon. I've actually been really into baseball lately, covering the Canes baseball team, who's been kind of up and down.
Jekyll High, man.
Yeah. You'd never know what you're gonna get with that team on any given night.
No doubt.
But yeah, so wanted to talk a little spring football. We're 2 weeks in now, so we basically have an idea of kind of what we have so far in spring, and some of the guys that are kind of standing out in practice. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk about the newest commitment to the 2025 class, which is Gerard Pringle, the outstanding running back from Armwood out of Seffner. That area always produces great talent. Not a lot of times that talent comes to South Florida. So interesting find. Of course, new running backs coach Matt Merritt had a lot to do with that. He was at USF, was recruiting Pringle for a while. And once Matt Merritt comes to Miami, all of a sudden now we've got a player that he's been recruiting to now commit to the class. You've been watching him for a while now. So what do you think of the get for Miami?
Well, first of all, I get a chance because I go to a lot of the camps during the off season, and Armwood they're always in the 7-on-7s and their coaching staff, and I've known them for a long time. Back in his 10th grade, before his 10th grade, when he was a 9th grader going into 10th grade, they had me take a picture of him and two other guys. And at the time, I thought maybe he was going to be a wide receiver or a safety, but he's emerged, and he's a really good breakaway back. He doesn't go down on the first hit. He comes out of the backfield and catches the ball a little bit. That's why I said they were looking at him as kind of a slot. But I'll tell you what, he hits the hole real quickly, gets it into the end zone. They love him down in close as well as his breakaway speed. So Miami's got a good one. I mean, and obviously, like you said, I cannot remember the last time Miami got a kid from Armwood, and certainly Miami doesn't do great from Tampa area, but they've done, Maurice Crum type guys, and in the past they've done fairly well. But I think he's a big time kid. He's another guy that's going to fit into a running backs room that I think is starting to really take shape.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually wanted to talk about, this running backs room because, you have the addition of Pringle. Of course, that's for the future. But Henry Parrish has decided to, part ways with the program. He, of course, is going to enter the transfer portal. Local kid from Columbus. First, he was, went to Ole Miss and then transferred to Miami a couple years ago. But he was the top rusher for Miami for these past couple of years. But now you lose him. Obviously, that's a tough loss. But this running back room is still stacked, Blue. You got a bunch of great guys in this backfield that can carry the rock and be productive. Of course, Mark Fletcher is going to come back from an injury. Hopefully, he's 100% ready to go by fall. You got AJ Allen also dealing with an injury as well. Jordan Lyle is set to come to the campus in the summer as well. But you got guys right now that are making some noise in spring, and Chris Wheatley-Humphrey and Chris Johnson Jr. and Trevante Citizen as well. You're hoping to see him return to his high school form. What is your opinion on this running back room as is?
Yeah, well, you covered it pretty good. I mean, the guys that you mentioned, the kids that they're looking for the future, like Chris Wheatley Humphrey, Lyles, who, as you alluded to, from St. Thomas, who we've watched a number of times and know how impressive he is. And that was really a major focus for Miami to get him away from Ohio State, and they did. You mentioned also Chris Johnson. They're kind of waiting to take the wrapping off of him because of his speed, his elusiveness, ability to hit the hole quick. And that was the one thing that they were working on. If you remember, what he did in high school is he got outside. And when he got outside, especially high school kids, he was gone. Now he has to, even though he's so blazing fast, he has to learn that he has to also hit tackle to tackle. At this level, because that's, as well as I do, you got linebackers who run in that 4.37, 4.4 range that are big time kids that could cut down that angle that he was being able to beat in high school. So he's got to learn how to, be the complete running back. And I think once he kind of masters that, he's going to be a beast. He's going to be a lot like Willis McGahee in the fact that if he goes tackle to tackle, hits that hole and gets past that first line, no one's catching him. So that's Citizen's a guy who I've maintained from the beginning. If he ever gets anywhere near the high school game film that we had a chance to watch, this kid's going to be a major stud. I mean, he hits the ball the hole quick. He's fast. He's a tough guy. He's got some good size to him. Tremendous vision. Yes, you're right. The running back room's potential is just crazy. And, you hate to see guys like, Parrish and Cheney, leave because they're local kids. And, they've kind of, been good for the university in the fact that they're, they don't get in trouble. They're good dudes. They go to class. But, like Mario Cristobal said 2 years ago, he goes, and that was back in 2022. He said, when you look at our roster in 2024, it's going to be completely different. And, I sent a 2022 roster to a buddy of mine who's a big Miami fan, and he looked at it and he just shook his head. He couldn't believe how the roster's changed, but it had to. And, like I said, you hate to see local guys, leave like that, but, enter two other local guys in Johnson and, or actually three with Lyles. So, I think the running back room looks really, really good, competitive, which is all you ask for, and everybody goes, well, you got Fletcher and you got, but you remember 2 years ago, we were down to a walk-on running back, so
right.
you don't want that to happen. And I don't think it will. You got a lot of talent. You got a way to keep all these kids healthy because, even though Fletcher would like to carry the ball 25 times a game, that offense is really not predicated that way. It's more to kind of, give guys rest when they need to, functional guys. Wheatley Humphrey can catch the ball out of the backfield. AJ Allen, who I know you've liked ever since he got here. And I agree, he's got big time, he shows big time flashes. And, certainly like you said, certainly a very competitive and a good running back room.
Yeah, what you're seeing, I think, is more of Mario Cristobal's guys kind of coming in, and the previous regimes, or you could say, kind of moving on or moving out, with the transfer portal. So another one of Mario's guys has now committed to the class, and Gerard Pringle. And I'm going to assume that more running backs will join this class as well. I had a chance to, of course, talk to Gerard Pringle right after his visit. Of course, he raved about the Hurricanes and kind of teased that there could be an announcement later that evening. And lo and behold, he's now part of the class. Another player that I spoke to as well that could possibly join the class was Jasper Parker, a really outstanding running back. That I saw great size on this guy.
Very big kid.
Really liked talking to him. He's bigger. He's like a bigger running back. He's taller. He's not 6 feet, maybe 6'1".
Almost 6. Yeah, he's like 6'1".
Yeah. So I think that's another player that Miami fans should definitely have on the radar for the future. Matt Merritt already doing a pretty good job with recruiting, and he's only been here about a
short
month.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about spring football though a little bit, man. The name that just keeps popping up everywhere when it comes to spring football, as far as the younger guys, is JoJo Trader, man. This guy, of course, we've been watching him since he was a really young kid, and way back at the Miami Gardens Ravens. I've been hearing about this kid JoJo
Sure.
Trader, and he just continues to kind of show his ability here in spring. Now the question will be is like, what kind of impact will he make? Usually, freshman wide receivers usually don't make a huge impact in year one, but it seems like he might. Do you think that JoJo Trader will see a lot of the field this year?
Yeah, I do, because who stepped up at that wide receiver position? Nobody really, and the only guy it has is Jacoby, and he's had a little bit of problems, being in the doghouse a lot. So yeah, I think somebody like him comes in there, shows that he can catch the ball, and if he can catch the ball and advance the sticks, then the one thing about him is he's going to get an opportunity to get reps, and why not? You what you're doing with him, and he's no surprise. I mean, this is a guy that you remember in the Merritt Island State Championship game, played one play on defense and returned it arm balls 90-something yards for a touchdown. Yeah. He's got great hands, and it's kind of a cheat code for me because the newly hired analyst. That they had, not too long ago, is Sly Johnson. And he is one of those Sly Johnson kids. And I was fortunate back in the day, because I go see a lot of his little workouts that he has on Saturdays and Sundays with his receivers, is to see Jeremiah Smith and him and Restrepo and Danny Braverman and a ton of guys that have come through his, tutelage from the beginning. So I kind of watched Josiah when he was 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 years old. So you could see the potential, and then watched him grow up. He was often in the shadow of Jeremiah Smith. And you know what? I think he's kind of broken out of that now. And I think everybody's going to see what type of player he is. He's got some bursts to him. He's got really good hands. He's a very athletic kid. And the one thing is, he's a really good teammate. And that's the one thing people at Central will tell you, that, he fit in real well when he was there. And then when he went to Chaminade, remember, they all kind of convened early on as freshmen at Pace, he and Jeremiah and, and Posse, the quarterback, and Vince Shavers, and too bad Pace couldn't. Yeah, too bad Pace couldn't have held on to all those. But
that was the team that never was.
Yeah, the team, exactly. The team that never was, but they did. It shows that these guys continue to advance every year. He gets better and better and better, and I wouldn't be surprised, believe me, if he made a huge impact as a guy who, if he starts making catches, you can't sit him.
Right. Exactly. And it seems that way now, just in spring, that it seems hard to kind of keep him off the field, because he keeps making really great plays in spring. And, this wide receiver room, you assume Xavier Strepo, of course, who's probably the best player on the entire team now, because he's always making a spectacular play. And then you got Jacoby George, like you mentioned, and then Isaiah Horton, just, strictly from his size alone. I think you got to put him on the field just to be a threat downfield and on fade routes as well. But when it comes to that fourth receiver, that fourth guy, you're thinking it's JoJo, or you're thinking it's Ray. Ray has kind of looked pretty good as well in practice. He's just kind of leaving defenders in the dust. So it's going to be one of those two guys, two homegrown guys that we've been watching for a while.
Sure.
But quickly, just kind of want to talk about quickly about some other standouts as well. We mentioned this right before this podcast, is Elijah Lofton. Elijah Lofton is a guy that seems like is going to be a versatile chess piece for this offense. You can line him up pretty much everywhere in the slot, of course, at tight end. maybe even at H-back or fullback. What do you think of the potential of an Elijah Lofton really making an impact here in year one?
Off the charts. Yeah, he's a kid that you're going to have to keep close tabs on because he's going to have a monster first year. And then obviously everybody in the country is going to start trying to ante up to get him. And that's unfortunately, Marcus, that's the culture that we're living in now.
Yeah.
Is not only do you have to recruit your future classes, but you got to make sure your current class is happy and I guess, and well compensated. Yeah, but you knew this. I mean, this is a guy that follows in Brevin Jordan's footsteps to come to Miami. He's faster. He's versatile, plays up to 5 different positions in the state championship game against Liberty last year. He threw one, he caught one, he ran one, and he even picked off a ball. So, I mean, this is somebody who obviously there's just no way. He's a Lamborghini, and you're not parking him in the garage. He's going to be out. He's going to be out, and anywhere they could use him, they're going to use him because he's instant offense, and he's a lot faster than people think he is. I mean, he's got some burst to him. He's a big-time kid, and, having an opportunity because, I went to school out west and knowing a lot of people out there, they kind of hinted early on that this was going to be the type of kid that everybody has to watch. And remember, he was just totally heavily recruited. He had 46 offers, including the USCs and the Notre Dames and the Ohio States and all the Oregons and everybody out west. And, good job in getting him. I mean, to come, I think you could credit a lot Brevin Jordan because I think Brevin told him, listen, with your way of playing and your style, you're going to fit in really well in a program like that because they're going to give you opportunities where maybe at another school you may have to sit behind somebody. They're going to give you opportunity from day one. And he has not disappointed. I think he's been pretty much one of those guys along with Restrepo and a couple of guys that you mentioned that have been singled out for what they've done in spring. And, when you and I talked, back in early January, and I said the one thing I did tell you is I said, what has to be done is this spring is going to be probably one of the biggest springs that they've had for years and years and years because you have the talent now. Now you let them compete and elevate the bar, and they have, and that's what this is all about. And now when you hit, the University of Florida in the first game, you're going to come in, obviously with some unknown game playing studs, but guys who have proven what they could do, in scrimmages and spring games and practices. So I think if you look back over 3-4 months when you and I talked, a lot of people out there are feeling a whole lot better at what they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching a highlight of Elijah Lofton here where he just made an unbelievable catch. I had the privilege to watch that live. Yeah. It was unreal because the defender there just draped all over him, yet he the defender was flagged on the play, but Lofton is still able to make the catch. So really excited to see what he can do here in the 2024 season. Another player that's starting to really emerge from what I've seen and from what I've heard is Jaden Harris. Jaden Harris, he's probably going to be asked to fill some big shoes at the safety position with James Williams and Cameron Kinchens moving on to the NFL. He's a guy who seemed to really fill out his body really well, and he seems very instinctive in practice. Do you think he is going to come close to filling those shoes of those potential NFL draft hopefuls?
Well, he's got the ability to make plays. Okay, that's the one thing that people have to understand. His ability to make plays is going to and he's very athletic. He's got an opportunity to do so. Yeah, those are big shoes, as you mentioned. Kinchens as a ball hawk who, is as a safety, and James Williams is someone who'll come up and try to, take your head off. He's got to combine those two skills. He's a really good cover guy, and he's got looser hips than most safeties do, but on the other hand, he's also somebody who's just focused in. He's got every opportunity, but it takes 11 men on a side to do it. So he's going to have to get that pass rush. He's going to get that coverage in the linebacking core, so he's not put on an island every single play, and gets an opportunity to come in there and read a little bit more. And his instinct, yeah, I agree with you. I think he's been a really big piece to the defense, and they needed somebody in that. The secondary's been kind of like, iffy. And if you can get somebody like that to come out and make big plays, and, because that's a lot of responsibility to play a safety, because you're playing, everybody from a running back to a receiver to a tight end. So, you don't have one assignment. You have a multiple assignments. You got to be really smart, because you're the quarterback in the back, who has to read and who has to anticipate. And but I think he's a guy that could do it, definitely, and I know they believe in him.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a Michelle Powell, who you brought in from Washington, who I hear is probably in line to start, just because of his experience, and just how smart he is. Really smart kid, a very instinctive guy as well. But I think Jaden Harris is going to likely play alongside him and take that next step in his development. The other contenders there, you got Savion Riley, who came in from Vanderbilt, and then you also got a Markeith Williams as well, who's been there as well. So I think it's really going to be that type of battle, but I think it's Jaden Harris's job, I think, to lose at this point, him and Powell. So we'll see how it, kind of continues here in spring and of course in the fall, but like what I've seen from Jaden Harris so far.
Yep.
Like what I've seen from Cam Ward as well, Blue. I mean, this guy, you talk about a Lamborghini, man. this guy can go, 0 to 100 really quickly, as far as his ability to kind of read a defense, ball coming out of his hands, and just the way that he's just kind of bonded with this team so quickly. And these players are really gravitating towards him, and hearing nothing but great things, seeing nothing but great things from Cam Ward as well. Of course, I think it's safe to say this is an upgrade from last year, but I think what every Hurricane fan wants to know is just, how far can Cam Ward take this team? Can this team really make that leap from 7 wins to a 10-win team this season? And I think every Hurricane fan would be happy with a 10-win season. From what you've seen from Cam Ward, and from what you believe, how far do you think this team will go with Ward at the controls?
Well, the Hurricane fans have been kind of taunted, the De'Aaron Kings, all these guys that were going to be the savior for the team. And obviously they're a little gun shy when kind of like expecting so much. I mean, especially last year, they were expecting the world, because they had a quarterback the year before that lit it on fire, but certainly was not, really last year. Didn't stay healthy, made a lot of mistakes, kind of regressed. So Ward is the type of guy that comes in. He's got a lot of hype behind him. Obviously, made a lot of head turning plays for Washington State. Here's a guy that started out at the NAIA level. NAIA level. Yeah, I got that. And then he made the move to a Power 5 school, showed what he could do. He's got some quickness. He's got a great, he stands back in the pocket. He's going to extend plays with his legs. I just think that his leadership, his knowledge of reading defenses, even though it's a different scheme that he's coming into than he ran before, with a little bit more emphasis put on splitting the running game in the passing game, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to help them spread out the game a little bit more, and knowing too that right behind him and the kid Paffenbarger, and also a couple of the other young guys that Miami has, that he is not going to be pressed into doing everything. He's going to be a guy that's going to run the offense. He's going to move the ball, but at the same time have the knowledge that there's a lot of guys pushing him from behind, and it's not just him. Obviously it's him because of what they had to give up to get him here. But no, I think he's a really, really solid guy, and I think the younger guys behind him are learning a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really, really excited to see kind of what Cam Ward can do for this offense. I mean, he's just really dynamic, and as you can see from the video, just very, very quick release, and just you've seen the special from him, and I think in college football today, you gotta have some special, man. You gotta have, not just being a statue in the pocket and just making good throws or just having a rocket for an arm. You just have to have the ability to improvise, and you kind of see that in practice. And the fact that you could just see it in practice, you can only imagine kind of what you are going to see in games.
Yeah.
And couple that with the fact that he's going to be playing behind a better offensive line than what he did at Washington State. Yeah. I mean, Washington State's offensive line ranked, maybe around the 50s. When it comes to protecting the quarterback. Miami last year, was in the high top 10 in a lot of different categories. So, you lose a Matt Lee and then you lose a Javion Cohen, but Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal are still there. And they're going to continue to develop the guy that they have, and bring in guys like Zach Carpenter. Really kind of, I think, will continue that success on that offensive line.
Sure. And having Rivers back and having Mawanoa back and guys who really, gave a huge indication that, Miami may have, when healthy, one of the best lines in the country, at least the most best coached lines. I mean, these guys are all maximizing. They got bigger, stronger. As I said, I was at an event last month, and I saw Francis Mawanoa, who just had shoulder surgery, but he's recovering really, really good. I saw Frankie Tenelau, who's gotten a lot bigger. So there's a lot of depth in there, as well as, frontline starters. They recruited extremely well over the last couple of years. I still think that they may even bring offensive lineman or two in on the 15th. When everything starts. People want to know why everybody in the country is playing their spring game on the 13th. It's because the 15th, the portal opens back up. And then, I think you come out of there and then you use that Sunday as an evaluation day of how many guys you're going to keep. And they're still 9 over, as far as scholarships. And certainly, guys who are going to be on the kind of the hot seat, especially for this, for the spring game and see with their future, guys like Redding, guys like Ja'Curry Brown, people like that. You love Ja'Curry and what he's done, but right now Ja'Curry's not. He may be 4th on that pecking list at quarterback, and certainly either he changed positions or goes to another school, and takes nothing away from him as a person. It's just that Miami's a different Miami than when he got here.
Yeah, definitely. It will be very interesting to kind of see what happens in this next portal period, what positions Miami goes for. A lot of people think they need to add another running back now with Parrish gone. I'm not on that side. I think they are fine with the guys that they have. I could see them maybe.
But it depends who you could bring in. I mean, if you could bring in a marquee kid, like an A.J. Allen who could help you right away, yeah, you do it. And that's what the portal is all about, especially when you're looking at juniors or seniors. You want them to plug in play the first year so that, you could take those younger kids that you have and kind of acclimate them while not having to worry about, anything above them. Like, we got to play. It's like when Duke Johnson and Tracy Howard came to Miami, they both had a start. Usually you don't want to do that with true freshmen. You want to kind of ease them in. And Miami, I think, as a running back core has that ability. And even if they added somebody else, I think they really have to look into adding maybe another quality linebacker. I think that they still have to, if there's people in the secondary, they got to really, really kind of keep their eye there as well. So, and we know any receiver that comes in, that's going to be worth, bringing in, you bring them in too, because, but you're, I think 9 over on your scholarships. So that means you're going to have to kind of get rid of a lot of guys. And I'm sure they know who they're going to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And a lot to come to fruition in these next couple of weeks. 2 weeks in, we're going into the 3rd week of spring. Always exciting to talk spring football and any football with you, Blue, or any sport. I really appreciate you joining me today on a Blue Monday, and next time we'll do it again.
Good stuff. Thanks, Marcus. And, baseball season, as you said, still watching the Hurricanes. They could score 17 one day and give up 17 the next. So you never know. It's kind of like a schizophrenic team, but certainly fun to watch. Blake Sears is doing a tremendous job. Great hitter. I've been watching them. I think that they're really good. They play a really competitive schedule. You look at all the teams that they've played, and I think they'll be fine. They just got to get more consistent pitching, and if they do, then they could get in, maybe host a region. That's the key, Blue. It's really about pitching, because I think hitting is literally kind of hit or miss. Sure. But they shown the ability to score almost 20 runs at times, but sometimes it's just not their day. The other pitcher has a great day, and you're going to need your pitcher to I agree, or the pitching staff or bullpen to really kind of step up. So they've been a fun team to watch. They're exciting. You never know what you're going to get. It's always an exciting time to kind of watch. I agree. Really like what Blake Sears doing. Of course, Daniel Cuvée looks like he's going to be an absolute star for the next couple of years. Hopefully Miami can keep him for the next couple of years. We'll kind of see what's going on there. And then Jason Torres, too, has been tearing it up along with Dorian Gonzalez. Yeah, Dorian Gonzalez from Berlin Jesuit was their starting quarterback as a junior, and then he decided to just concentrate on playing baseball. Great guy, great hands, and a quick bat. So let's see what happens. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Best of luck to, of course, JT Arteaga for the rest of the season. Yes. Larry Blustien, once again, thank you again for joining me on a Blue Monday. Thank you, Marcus. And make sure you subscribe to the website, canescounty.com, for free. Use the promo code Miami30. Also, follow this podcast on all platforms. Also, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, live from Canes County. Until the next episode.